Hi guys, welcome to the Wrestling Retrospective. I'm Leo, and in this video I'll be doing my ratings for my 2023 matches of the year. So at number 10 I have Rhea Ripley versus Natalia from Night of Champions. The length of this match was 1 minute and 10 seconds, and the winner was of course Rhea Ripley, retaining the Women's World Championship. What I said in my original video was it's the match I enjoyed the most on the Premium Live event. It showed off Rhea's dominance very early into her reign, and it got a big reaction out of me. What I think now, I think this match sits better with me now, especially knowing what kind of run or reign that she had as women's champion. She's having, as women's champion. At the same time, like we were just 2 months into this title reign that is now at over 9 months. And it was very early showing about how consistent and, as I say, dominant Rhea was going to be throughout her whole reign. I think Natalia was the perfect opponent to have against Rhea in this moment and to have as a kind of squash match, as it won't hurt Natalia too much due to her veteran status, and it seems most of the time nowadays she's used to elevate talent through losing a lot. And yeah, it definitely worked here with Rhea Ripley. Therefore, like, I stand with my thoughts that it was like a great way to have Rhea start this reign. The best match on the show for me. Though this was a very good show, I felt like this had the most impact to it. And yeah, I mean, I know that people kind of, when it comes to matches of the year, expect like half-an-hour classics, 45-minute classics, but sometimes having, just a normal squash match that has a lot of effect on the champion at the time can be just as impactful as these big, long technical wrestling matches, and that's why this is coming at number 10 for me. At number 9, I have the Women's Royal Rumble match. Obviously, the event was the Royal Rumble. The time was 1 hour, 1 minute and 8 seconds. The final four for the Rumble was Rhea Ripley, Asuka, Liv Morgan and Nikki Cross. The winner was, of course, Rhea Ripley, who, for the first time ever for a woman, entered at number 1 and won the match. Obviously, the Royal Rumble is known for returns and stuff. We had Asuka, Nia Jax, Piper Niven and Chelsea Green all return. We had Michelle McCool as a legend, and we had Roxanne Perez, Indy Hartwell and Zoe Stark all come up from NXT for this one. What I said about this in my original video was that I was looking forward to the darker side of Asuka, hoping that Piper Niven would be taken more seriously. Chelsea's quick elimination would add to her character, and I thought there was indications of progression in WWE's women's division. What I think now is that, like, in my opinion, it is hard to have a bad Rumble match. There has definitely been attempts at it, 2022 men's. But especially in the moment, people tend to enjoy them a lot more. This Rumble definitely stuck out to me more than the men's did. I have been back and watched both, and I still stick with my choice of preferring the women's match to the men's match. But yes, I had a lot of expectations coming out of this match for the women's division, which simply didn't come into fruition. Looking forward to the dark side of Asuka, that kind of happened for about a couple of months, and then she lost at WrestleMania, and then she was women's champion this year, but she just didn't go on the path of destruction that I thought she was going to have, especially as we'd heard so much about the kind of the Kana character in Japan, and we were going to get that kind of thing in WWE, which I don't feel like we did. Asuka, if anything, has been quite underutilized, though again she has been champion this year, as far as just kind of taking a backseat to a lot of people and losing a lot. For Piper Niven to be taken more seriously, that didn't happen at all. She disappeared off TV very quickly after that, and then she is now she isn't currently, but she has been a women's tag team champion with Chelsea Green, but yeah, she kind of just went back to how she was doing stuff with having the name Doudrop, except she was Piper Niven now, which was a shame because obviously we saw a lot of good things out of Piper Niven in NXT UK, and with Triple H at the helm now, I thought we might get a little bit more of that, but it simply was not the case. Chelsea Green saying that it was going to add to her character, I thought was spot on. Literally has been one of the more entertaining sides of Raw since she returned, which I think has been really good. But yeah, I said it has been a lot of like a lot of disappointment as far as the women's division goes, especially as I was expecting so much. I know not to trust WWE too much when it comes to booking their women's division, as it has been very lackluster this year, apart from maybe Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. But yeah, I said it was an enjoyable match. Very it's hard to describe what happens in a Royal Rumble match because it pretty much, everyone who's a wrestling fan knows how a Royal Rumble match goes. Therefore, there's no point in me pointing out stuff that happened that wasn't just people returning and people showing up. But yes, the one positive we got out of this match was Rhea winning from number one. I thought that was a brilliant decision. It was, again, another early showing that she was going to have an absolutely dominant run in 2023. And yes, so, as I said, it showed that she was going to be a great champion and be a great part of WWE in the whole year. So, said though there was a lot of negatives coming out of the match, there was one outgoing positive which I think took over the whole match, in my opinion. But he said I knew that a Royal Rumble match would make my top 10 just because they are so enjoyable in the moment and good to look back on, and this is the one I chose as I preferred it to the men's. At number 8, I've got Bianca Belair versus Io Sky from Backlash. It clocked in about 18 minutes, and of course Bianca Belair won, retaining the Raw Women's Championship. What I said in my original video was that it had great fan interaction. Io possibly could have got the win here, but overall very enjoyable match. For me, this holds up really well. I feel like this is the better of the two matches they've had on pay-per-view this year. The crowd in Puerto Rico were absolutely fantastic. I miss them almost every WWE event we have. Like, the Puerto Rico crowd and the London crowd were absolutely fantastic this year. And yeah, if every crowd could be like those, then WWE will be hitting pay-per-views out of the park just based on crowd reactions, because it is absolutely brilliant. But yeah, as I slightly mentioned, compared to the Premium Live event rematch that these two had at Crown Jewel, this was levels above the Backlash match, was levels above the Crown Jewel match. The Crown Jewel match was very forgettable, whereas this was a great showcase for these two on a Premium Live event. They have great athleticism, great chemistry, and just overall wrestling technique was fantastic. As I said, it was a complete showcase to see what great year these two had overall. I know Bianca has eaten a lot of losses since Backlash, but even in losses she looks great. And yeah, I'd love to see a rubber match on pay-per-view in 2024, but without any interference. Bayley did interfere, and obviously we've got the return of Kairi Sane in the Crown Jewel match. But I said if we could let these two just go 20 minutes one-on-one, it would be fantastic. And I feel like this match 100% deserves to be in the top 10 of this year, just because the crowd was fantastic, the wrestling kind of worked well with the crowd as well. The fact that they went kind of more towards Io than Bianca was quite a shock at the time, but worked out really well, and again almost added to the match. And yeah, I said one of my favourite matches of the year for sure. At number 7, we have Jon Moxley versus Orange Cassidy from All Out. This clocked in at just under 20 minutes. And yeah, Jon Moxley was crowned the new international champion, and he ended Cassidy's 326-day undefeated title match streak. What I said at the time was that it was an incredible match. Moxley looked unbeatable, and Cassidy looked very strong in defeat. It was spot on storytelling as far as match weight wise goes. And yeah, it made the international title seem similar to the Intercontinental Championship in WWE as far as the working man's championship. What I think the match itself is absolutely brilliant, and as I said before, it was spot on storytelling from a match perspective. The build-up was only a week long. I know that they had interactions before that, and they had the Stadium Stampede at All In, but just as far as this one-on-one match goes, it only had a week and it worked perfectly. You could tell both men respected each other, even though they were in quite a personal feud as far as Cassidy wanted to prove himself and Moxley just wanted to win a championship. And yeah, I don't have a single fault for this match really, and the only reason it wasn't ranked higher is because I think the matches that are above it are miles better, but not in a bad way, and kind of it shows how good they are that this is so low almost. But yeah, Cassidy showed that he fully deserves the main event spotlight on him. I know this is the first Premium Live event he has main evented, and it was fully deserved, and yet it gave that championship the more prestige feel to it, which he still kind of has now, not to a point where it was here, but I feel like Cassidy's going to get it back to that point just due to the hot potatoing due to injury that the championship has gone through recently. And yeah, I completely agree with what I said as far as Moxley looking unbeatable. You know, I think for them, he had control of the match for almost 85% of the time. And though Cassidy did get some good offense in, it did seem like at one point he might get the win. I think it was inevitable by the time that, Orange Cassidy had bled all over the ring, and you could tell he was very beat up that Moxley was going to get the win. And yeah, it just added to the kind of more heel persona that Moxley's had this year. And yeah, it's a massive shame that we haven't had a rubber match yet for this championship, and it's also a massive shame that the rematch didn't live up to this either at Full Gear. I feel like this, like the last match I talked about, the first match was levels above the rematch, which is unfortunate because it was one of the matches I was looking forward to on Full Gear, but hopefully in 2024 we do get a rubber match between these two, whether it's on pay-per-view or just a special Dynamite, because these two, I think, are a great match together just through different types of wrestling and stuff like that. And I said, hopefully at some point in 2024 we get these two back in the ring together so we can have a rubber match to see who really is the better guy. At number 6, I've got the Usos versus Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa from Money in the Bank. This match went just over 32 minutes. Obviously the winners are the Usos, and Roman took his first pin since December 2019, which is about 3.5 years since he was last pinned at that point. What I said in the original video was that the match felt shorter than 30 minutes for sure. I couldn't see Jey Uso winning the Undisputed Championship, which I was right about. I barely mentioned Solo Sikoa through the whole match, which, to be fair, a lot of the concentration was on Jey and Roman. But yeah, Solo did have some very good parts in this match, like, do not get me wrong. And obviously the historical moment and the absolutely great storyline, probably one of the greatest in history. But what I think now is that, like, I know this for me was a match of two halves. Like, the first half of it was very slow, very Roman-esque type match, methodical. And yeah, just kind of you could see that Roman was very much controlling the pace of the match, even if he was or wasn't the legal competitor. Whereas in the second half of the match, the Usos definitely sped it up a bit, maybe took Roman out of his element, which, helped them get the win in the end. But yeah, some highlights for me was, the chant of "sit down if you hate Roman." Oh, sorry, stand up if you hate Roman, of which then Roman sat down on the apron, which, is just great crowd psychology from Reigns there. And then, yeah, the kick out after the spike and spear when Jey and Jimmy were stacked up, similar to Edge and Bryan from WrestleMania 37. And the kick out that was heard around the arena and heard around the wrestling world as the crowd went absolutely crazy when that happened, and fully right to do so. And yeah, just the pin in general, when Jey pinned Roman to get his first pin in, as I said, just over 3.5 years, I think it was an absolutely huge moment, a moment I wasn't expecting at the time, but makes most sense now. I think the biggest disappointment about all this is that this was probably the Bloodline storyline in its prime, and probably when it peaked, because everything since then has been very lackluster and very boring, and also very confusing, which didn't help the fact of anything really. And as I said, the match itself was very, very good. This is definitely my favourite match of WWE this year, so kind of a spoiler that the rest of the matches are AEW matches, but yeah, like, it 100% deserves to be WWE's match of the year. It's good that it's a tag team match as well, especially as the tag team division in WWE has been very underutilized as well. But yeah, these four have been absolutely killing it for years now, and to have this come to a head here, the London crowd was the perfect crowd to do it in front of as well, as, they were absolutely up for it. Any chant they could think of, they were going for it, and it just added to the atmosphere of what was an absolutely fantastic match. And if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's bloody wonderful. At number 5, I have MJF versus Adam Cole from All In. This clocked in at exactly 29 seconds, 29 minutes. And obviously the winner was MJF to retain the AEW World Championship. What I said at the time was this was quality wrestling, impactful drama, brutal moves, and phenomenal match. Adam Cole wrestled like a massive heel. You know, who would have known that this was the first clue to a very important storyline come the end of the year? Comparing MJF and Adam Cole's story to the Jay and Roman story as kind of like Jay and Adam was like just better than Jay versus Roman, in my opinion. The SummerSlam build, not the first part of the year build. I thought that the Roderick Strong story and character at the time wouldn't last. I couldn't have been more wrong. The broadcast didn't do the crowd justice in this match. You know, it's like even during the entrances of the boom and us singing along to Max's theme song, you could barely hear us, and it's a shame because we were going absolutely crazy. And I actually said that MJF shouldn't trust Cole after this match. I couldn't have been more wrong, even though I was kind of right, to be fair, knowing what we know now. But yeah, just for me, what I think now is that once again, this was an absolutely brilliant wrestling match. And, you know, for an half an hour long match, it felt like 15-20 minutes. It absolutely flew by. It was absolutely fun. Just, I can't say enough good about this match, so forgive me if I keep using the same positive words to describe it. Cole was 100% wrestling like a heel in this match. You know, he ripped off the Better Than You Baby shirt off Max. He took his off later on. The suplex onto the stairs was absolutely awful, and I will not cringe at that moment. It was grim. The Tombstone Piledriver to Max from Adam Cole on the announce table, which Excalibur then told us it was like made of steel, was awful. And yeah, just the absolute destruction of Max's neck during this match was truly, truly awful. And yeah, if you wanted clues that Adam Cole's the devil, this is the match to watch, to be fair, because he was being an absolute prick to Max all match. Until like the very end when he kind of had a strop put then made up with him anyway. But yeah, overall this match had more or less everything that you could possibly want out of a match. It had respectable offense from the start from both of them. We then had the heel face dynamic with the quality wrestling in the middle. We then had comedy elements when the ref went down. They had the passing of the chair, and then they had the drama of MJF stealing the win at the end, only for them to make up and kind of announce the next year they're going to be doing another show, which is now this year, of course. And yeah, having Cole not attack Max when Max gave him the opportunity. But yeah, as a match, it's great storytelling, and the feud and the whole story itself has been absolutely quality wrestling television. And you know, now we know that Adam Cole was the devil, and the whole heel turn, and Adam Cole turns on Max before Max can turn on Cole. It has been truly wonderful television, and probably one of the only things that has kept a lot of people watching AEW. And yeah, it was truly worth it for the payoff. And as I said, the only reason this didn't get higher is because I felt like the rest of the matches were a lot better, not to be taken away from this match at all, because it was truly brilliant. At number 4, I have Will Ospreay versus Chris Jericho, also from All In. This clocked in at just under 15 minutes. Of course, the winner was Will Ospreay. What I said at the time was this was the best of the present going up against the best of the past. This was probably one of the highest qualities of wrestling you'll see. And I mentioned back in August how AEW should sign Will Ospreay, which they announced they did in November. So I feel it's a pretty decent prediction there, and I'm very, very happy that they got to sign him. What I think now is that, like, from the beginning, this match was so fast-paced. Like, you know, Ospreay hit a beautiful aerial attack from the top rope to the outside. Very early inning, it was like his third or fourth move into the match, I thought was great. And yeah, just like, the chops in this match were awful. It sounded like that bloody Iceland clap that they do. Every time one of them would chop the other, it was absolutely brutal. The corkscrew kick from Will Ospreay is just a thing of beauty, honestly. I think it's probably one of my favourite moves to visually see during a wrestling match. It is just absolutely fantastic. But yeah, Jericho also getting his own offense in, reversing the Oz Cutter into a kind of backbreaker, then into a code breaker. I thought was very cool. Seeing Chris Jericho reverse the Stormbreaker into a Hurricane Rana that went into the walls of Jericho was absolutely, again, a beautiful reversal. And yes, both of these guys show in this match why they are considered the GOAT of their era, almost, because it was 15 minutes. It felt about 5 minutes watching it back. It flew by when I was there in person. But yeah, for me, I did enjoy it more than Cole versus MJF, hence why it's one place higher than it. It's the match that stuck out to me the most as well. Obviously, at the time, I couldn't choose between these two matches being match of the night. Now, I would have probably said it was Osprey and Jericho, though I've been very biased towards Will Ospreay this year, but I think it's very understandable as he is arguably one of the best wrestlers in the world, as I will get onto later. But yeah, just the closing sequence of having Jericho showing the finger and then him hit a hidden blade to his front of his face, usually does it to the back of the head. But as I said, absolutely fantastic match overall. Definitely worth going to watch it. And yeah, definitely my preferred match from All In. And yeah, just showed absolutely quality from the past and the present of wrestling. In at number 3, we have Swerve Strickland versus Hangman Adam Page in a Texas death match. This was from Full Gear. I've completely forgotten to see what the time was. Sorry about that. And of course, the winner was Swerve Strickland. Not a lot I said about this one, to be fair. I don't know why I said so little in my video, but I said it was beautifully violent and that Swerve is to have a great 2024 and to become the world champion within the next 2 years. I stick by that. I still feel like, I know it was only a few months ago now, but I do feel like Strickland isn't going to get the world title this year, but maybe next year. I feel like we're setting up for maybe we've now got Samoa Joe as champion. I think we're going to get Will Ospreay as champion, and then maybe after that we'll get Swerve Strickland. But to be fair, it has been just over a couple of months since this match happened, but man, it is so good. I've showed it to multiple people. Their reactions were brilliant to the absolute absurdity of this match. I don't even know if absurdity is a word, but as similar to some of the matches I said before, I can't not cringe at that stable gun being used on Swerve and to Hangman's head, and then Swerve on himself. It is absolute sadistic shit, honestly. I just couldn't believe it. I think I stopped watching at one point. It was just so brutal. The awful pile driver on the barricade from Swerve to Hangman that clearly split Hangman open really badly, as you could see, as his hair was absolutely sodden with blood. And I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but we had the second match of the year to finish by a hanging. Pardon me. What? I can't even fathom having 2 matches this year end by a hanging, but we will talk about the other one very soon. But yeah, when AEW want to do extreme matches, do death matches, they hit it out of the park every time. And yeah, I truly believe that AEW will never hold back when it comes to death matches and all stuff like that. They're willing to go all in for it. I'm hoping that we sometime or at some point get a Texas Deathmatch at All In if it's going to be an annual event and I go every year. But it's just absolutely fantastic. I know a lot of people have had it as their match of the year. I feel like for me, it holds up really well. And if it had been maybe earlier in the year, wasn't so recent, it might have got higher. But it was absolutely fantastic. And speaking of AEW never holding back. At number 2, we have Hangman Adam Page versus Jon Moxley in, once again, a Texas death match from Revolution. The winner was, of course, Hangman Page. And yeah, what I said in the original video was hoping that Jon Moxley gets his holiday, which he doesn't. Hangman challenging MJF, hopefully for the world title, which we I thought we were getting to now, but we're not, so I don't know. And then, yeah, I kind of played down the violence of this match, which I'm going to put down to having a little bit less confidence on camera, maybe. But, yeah, first of all, respect to Hangman Adam Page, who puts his body through hell when it comes to any kind of Texas death match. Secondly, in my review for Swerve and Hangman, I said it was the most violent matches I've ever seen. yeah, I was wrong there. Going back and watching this back, this is much more violent than Swerve versus Hangman, in my opinion. But in retrospect, just absolutely fantastic. I can't believe how much I downplayed the violence in this match, from the bricks to the barbed wire chairs, barbed wire boards, the chain, everything like that. Just, it had everything to it. The match was absolutely brutal and beautifully violent. Like, as you guys know, and as I talk about a lot, bloody extreme death matches are right down my alley. I absolutely love them. It's definitely my kind of thing, and this was exactly how I would have an extreme match go. Like, this was perfection for me, and if number one hadn't have been so good, this probably would have been my match of the year, because I absolutely adore it. I still watch it regularly now. I've shown my friends it. They think it's bloody horrible, and yeah, just absolutely fantastic. I cannot say enough good things about this match. Obviously, at the time, I expected this kind of thing out of Jon Moxley, whereas I hadn't seen much of Hangman in kind of death matches. And yeah, this year he's proven me a fool, because I clearly don't know anything about Hangman Adam Page, because he knocks it out of the park whenever it comes to Texas Death. And yeah, just absolutely phenomenal matchup. Go watch it if you're into blood and that. If you're one for the faint of heart, don't watch it, because it is brutal. I said the first match of two to end in a hanging, which is just crazy to think about. But yeah, so definitely deserving of my match of the year, coming in number 2. And hopefully we get more of this kind of stuff in 2024, because the extreme matches that we got were absolutely brilliant. And yeah, I just love it when AEW go extreme, because they never ever, as I said in the last part, they never ever hold back. And finally, my number 1, I mean, was it really going to be anything else? Let's be fair. It is Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega from Forbidden Door, clocking at just under 40 minutes, and the winner being Will Ospreay to become the new IWGP United States Champion. What I said at the time was this was the best match I'd watched live via pay-per-view. Ospreay is like the best wrestler in the world 5 months ago, like, let alone before he'd had his matches with Chris Jericho, Mike Bailey, Josh Alexander, and everyone he had matches in New Japan that I didn't see. Really hoping for a rubber match that we still haven't got yet, and I'm busting for, especially watching these matches back recently. And yeah, it's just the highest quality of wrestling I said originally. What I think now, well, to be fair, with Wrestle Kingdom 18 being last Thursday, I bought a subscription to New Japan World and watched back Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay 1 from January. And like, watching this match back, you could see that Kenny Omega completely outclassed Will Ospreay in the first one. Like, and as Ospreay said, like, Kenny Omega controlled 80% of that match. And what then coming back immediately after watching that match, watching the Forbidden Door match, you could see that Will Ospreay had kind of prepared more and kind of made some major improvements looking back at them. At the Wrestle Kingdom 17 match with Kenny Omega, and had learnt a lot more, making for an incredible rematch. Like, these two are both very, very good, but the Forbidden Door is levels above any other match I saw this year. But I would say from the first match, just like slightly, I know I didn't really cover Wrestle Kingdom, but from the first match, you know, as I said, Kenny Omega completely outclassed Will Ospreay. As soon as that DDT on the top rope happened, it felt like that was it for Ospreay, more or less. Like, he did get some very good offense in afterwards, but it seemed inevitable that Kenny, like, had the upper hand even when he was taking and on the defense. And I said, yeah, you could tell that Ospreay had made some major improvements. Obviously, having Don Callis in his corner was probably one of the major factors towards being able to get the upper hand against Kenny at the Forbidden Door. And as I say, speaking of the Forbidden Door match, the match itself is just simply incredible, and I fucking, how do we put it now? It's kind of, I hold myself by what I said, which is it is the best match I've ever seen on pay-per-view. I stand by that completely. And yeah, I saw, oh my god, I can't speak. I showed this match to friends afterwards, some of them who aren't even wrestling fans, and even they got invested in it and thought it was absolutely spectacular. And yeah, I knew this match was going to be my match of the year as soon as it ended, to be fair, and it doesn't shock me that it's now coming to the end of the year and this has got #1, so I thank you to just both of them. They were incredible. I thank Tony Khan, who's actually signed Will Ospreay, and I can't wait to see the next year of matches he's going to have in AEW, because I guarantee he's going to make the product better and make people want to watch AEW again like they were when they first started the promotion. Some highlights of the match for me: Osprey ramming Kenny Omega's head into the announce table multiple times, harkening back to the first match where Kenny rammed Osprey's head into just a regular table. Kenny Omega's DDT on the steel steps was brutal. The screwdriver hit. I put screwdriver hit into the hidden blade, which I can't. Oh yeah, no, I'm thinking of screwdriver kick, but no, the hit with the screwdriver that Callis gave to Osprey into the hidden blade, into the Stormbreaker, and Kenny Omega only just getting his foot onto the ropes in one of the closest like missed calls. This pin, I can't remember what the word is for it now, but the closest like almost pinfalls I've ever seen. And then yeah, just the crowd reaction when Kenny Omega kicked out of the one-winged angel from Will Ospreay was fantastic. The Tiger Driver 91, holy shit, what a move that thing is. Like, honestly, I thought Kenny Omega was dead afterwards. Obviously not, but and yeah, it's just absolute quality wrestling at its absolute peak, in my opinion. Like, if you want proper pro wrestling, this is the match to watch, because it is fantastic. And yeah, this was going to be match of the year. It was never going to be anything else, in my opinion. And yeah, just absolutely, I can't say enough good about it, and I will think it's probably going to be one of my favourite matches of all time. So those are my matches of the year for 2023. Do put in the comments down below what your match of the year was, what matches you're looking forward to in 2024, well, speculation wise, and yeah, just any other matches you enjoyed over the past year. I know there's been a lot of quality wrestling this year from many companies, whether it's WWE, New Japan, Impact, AEW, all kinds of places. Wrestling's so easy to get hold of nowadays that there's matches of the year probably all over the place. And yeah, say any feedback from me as well would be much appreciated. I will ask you to subscribe and like and all that good stuff. I have a video coming in a couple of days about wrestlers that should be having a better 2024 in my opinion, as well as just some random rambling videos as well, and covering Hard to Kill this next weekend. So a lot of content coming up on the channel, and as I said, if you enjoy, please do hit that subscribe button, as they all ask and as I will ask. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys later on. Thank you for watching.